Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Motivation, which quite simply is all about simplicity and how we can use simplicity in our lives to motivate us, to keep us sane. So, if you've never ever watched any single episodes of Monday Motivation, this is episode number 75, which means we've been going for nearly 18 months. Now, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on the replay, I'd love you to pop in and say hi. Just either say hello in the comment box below. I'm presuming that at 7 a.m. UK time that most of you will be watching from the UK, but I know that some of you watch from the States too, because it's pretty late your time. But also, if there's something that I say that resonates, you've got any questions, any comments, then use this next 20 minutes to be able to ask me any questions. So the other reason that I would love you to put your comments below is because quite early on in the piece, I want to make sure that Facebook and I are on the same page. So one of the things that I really don't like is when you guys put your comments and questions and nothing shows up on my screen. So for that reason, you'll see me occasionally looking down like this. And that's because I've got another device here just to be able to make sure that everything is working as it should. Now, if you're one of these people that likes to lurk and just likes to watch behind the scenes, that's fine too. I'll only ever say hi to you if you pop a comment in the box below, so I will maintain your privacy. And one final thing, Monday mornings get a bad rap. So if you know somebody that could do with a little boost to their Monday, just hit the share button and share this on your timeline so that somebody else, you never know who might need it, might want it, can get a little boost to their Monday too. So my name's Jenny Kovacs and I'm lovingly known as the Queen of Being Seen. What I do in my day job is that I help people to stand out so that their clients can find them more easily, whether they are self-employed or whether they work for an organisation and are responsible for the sales in that organisation, so therefore being able to stand out and make a difference. So today is all about simplicity. So why am I talking about this? Well, in a very, very busy world, it's quite clear that we have all got 101 different things that we have to do at any given time. And sometimes life just gets accidentally complicated. It gets complicated and we just, we navigate through life. We weren't born with an instruction manual. And quite often we take our cues from the people around us, the situations around us, our beliefs, our environments and things like that. So this morning I thought I would share a couple of little tips on simplifying your life. And I reckon that many of you will have tips too on how you've simplified your life so that you're motivated to do the things that you want to do in the world. So at this point, I am just going to look down at my other device because although I can see that you're all hopping on, I can't see any comments and it's quite rare to not see anything. Hey, that's fine. Ian says, "Hey up, Jenny. Good morning and welcome to another awesome week." Good morning, Ian. Good to see you on here. So that's good. I know the comments are working, so I can stop worrying and looking down. So the first point for simplicity, well, why might you want to simplify your life? You might say, you know what, Jenny, my life is simple enough as it is. Thank you very much. And I feel like life is a little path that we tread. Hey, morning, Ivona. Life is a path that we tread, and as we tread through life, we sometimes hit across little bumps and nicks in the road. So, no matter how much personal development you might have done, no matter how much time you maybe spend with a coach or mentor, no matter how many calm people that you spend your time around, there'll always be something that kind of hits us side on we might not be prepared for. So it's like a continual learning. And that's the reason why I say, you never know who of your Facebook friends might need a little motivation for their Monday, their morning, their week. And, it's the beginning of the month, so maybe even their month too. So if you know somebody that, or even if you don't realise that they might need a little motivation, do hit the share button and do share this with them. I'll be very grateful to you. And, I encourage you, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, just to say hi, to type in your comments and thoughts as well, and any of the tips that you might share. So, first tip for simplicity is your belief. Now, why do I say your belief and what am I talking about? sometimes when we go to do things in life, it might be a new project, it might be another piece of work, it might be a new venture. We might be deciding to do something with our health, well-being or fitness. We might be deciding that we're going to go out and embark on a new relationship. We might be deciding that we're going to continue and strengthen our current relationships. It could be that we are looking for career progression. It could be anything. And quite often the first hurdle that so many people inadvertently hit is not believing that they can. And when I say that, it's not believing in the best for themselves. So what happens is this. They start thinking through all of the what ifs, and those what ifs inadvertently become, well, what if I can't? And then what if I can't becomes a whole head full of thoughts, full of, gosh, what if this doesn't work out? What's my plan B? What's my plan C? And before we know it, it's absolutely exhausted and it's filled our head. And once it's filled our head, it takes away our simple ability to look for the goal that we're going towards, look for the end in mind, and just to believe that we can. Now, talking of exhausting, this takes up a lot of head space, a lot of head chatter. And interestingly, I was speaking to a friend earlier this week who's really big into helping people with meditation, which is just one way in which people can almost like reset their head, if you like. And we were talking about this and the amount of stress that we have become used to living with, the amount of pressure, the amount of outside influences that we've become used to living with. So belief but your belief in the best for yourself is a really simplified way of looking at things, but one that will definitely serve you. If this resonates with you, whether live or on the replay, give me a thumbs up or a love heart, just so that I know that this stuff is useful for you, this is good for you, this is serving you this early on a Monday morning. So the second one that I've written down is clarity. So clarity, thank you for the love hearts there. So clarity, what do I mean by that? Quite often when we stick on the path of clarity, it's a really great way to keep things clear, to make things clear for ourselves. And quite often we can inadvertently complicate and confuse. On the back here, just behind me, that in mirror writing actually says create. And one of the things that I find with a lot of people is they're very creative. Their juices are flowing. So they're always thinking of new ideas to do things, new ways to do things, and, creating lots of different ideas. Now, I fell into this trap myself. Just in the summer, I realised that there's a certain area of my life and my business that I had overcomplicated things. So I spent quite a bit of time stripping all the extra pieces back, a bit like if you've ever had corn on the cob and you're stripping the leaves from the outside to get to the juicy nuggets in the middle, a little bit like that. So if we want to be able to simplify our lives, we need clarity. And in order to find that clarity, strip back everything, have a look at everything, observe everything from an objective place where we're looking and observing, not judging, not criticising, just observing. So we're clearly seeing what's working for us and what isn't. And when we do that, we find our way, and it's like we make a clear path. The third thing that I've got here is focus. And although this might sound like clarity was just what I was speaking about, focus is like the thing that we do when we just look forward, look ahead and go towards that piece. Focus is so important, yet so underutilised. So one of the things that I find is multitasking has become a common habit. In fact, I know that there are many people, even that watch these, that are multitasking. Maybe they're getting the kids ready for school. Maybe they're getting themselves ready for work. Maybe they're on their commute on the platform and they are listening to this or watching this and then trying to do something else too. And multitasking has become, it's almost like a trophy in our culture and our society to be able to say, yes, I'm doing this thing, and this thing, because we fool ourselves into thinking that it makes us more efficient. And this is all well and good when somebody else has got your timelines and someone else is kind of like holding you account to that. But when it's you, and I come across this a lot with my consultants that I work with, a lot of them have been or are still project managers. coincidentally. So when I'm speaking to my consultants, to my project managers, they are used to making sure that things are ticking one after one after one, that things are held in a line, and quite often multitasking. When actually, when you translate that into your own life, into your own business, people can tell when your attention isn't on them. That in itself starts to make things complicated. That allows the accusations to fly, the "what are you doing? Why don't you ever listen to me?" type conversations. And the other thing when we focus on one thing at a time, it's the simplicity that it brings for us as the person. So if you've got 5 tasks to do and you just say to yourself, do you know what? Cup of tea in hand, I'm just going to sit and watch Jenny for 20 minutes. Then I'm going to plan my to-do list for today. If you work that way, some of you I know would have done that on Friday or even last night, and then go forward and do one thing at a time. One of the things that I do in order to make sure that I've got strong focus, and I set up that structure in my days and in my weeks, and I do this because I am self-employed and no one else is going to do that or give that to me, is I simply segment my week. So I make sure that my tasks are bundled. So for example, anyone that works with me will know that Mondays is coaching day. So any of you that have worked closely with me, you'll know that on a Monday I will not only will I put in the coaching call, but I'll also keep it at the same time where possible, so that you know that every Monday at a specific time you have your call, you know where you are, and then you can structure the rest of your day and your time around it. That's just one way to do it. And even if you are working for an organisation, you're an employee, you can still bring that kind of structure in. And that helps for when you're sidelined by a surprise meeting or a surprise request or a specific email request. You can then start to look at your day like that. And that in itself brings simplicity, which brings peace of mind, which brings focus, which brings the great stuff along. So the next piece, so we've had 3 so far. We've had belief in the best for yourself. We've had clarity is the second one. And the third one we've had focus. Now the fourth one, it's a decide and do. Hey, morning Alan. Decide and do. So decide and do, what do I mean by that? When you start by making the decision first, as opposed to how many of us go through life and we'll check our email, and then our email will ask us to do something or ask something of us. So then we'll go and do that. Or we're going to Facebook and then see that there's something on there. So we'll click onto this thing and click onto that thing. And before we know it, we've lost our time, which we can't get back. Now, the best people that are able to keep their life simple, keep it straightforward, apply simplicity in what they're doing. They know when to say yes to things and they know when to say no. So they're not in an overwhelm of always kind of being out there, always being busy. I call it busy-itis. Because if you look at anyone's life, and I've done this for myself, where you are particularly busy and your general response to how are you is busy, you can normally see that there are things that we do that serve us and serve other people, and sometimes there are things that we do that simply don't. They don't serve us, they don't serve other people, yet we're still busy and not having the time to put the focus, the attention, the care, the belief, the clarity onto the things that we want to do. So when you decide and then do, you make the decision first and then the doing next. Now, why would you do that? It means that you're like taking decisive action. It means that you're no longer just meandering through, which is, it might feel like the easiest or simplest thing to do, but it's actually more complicated, more confusing. It means that the overwhelm goes from sort of, 10 out of 10 back down to a 1. It means that we can make the decision of what we're going to do, and our only steps to follow are taking decisive action. Now, that decisive action can only happen when we've made the decision on what's next. It also means that when we find ourselves off the beaten track, we can have a look. Did we decide to do that thing? No, we didn't. We cross it off the list and then we get back on track. So even if you meander off the track, you can get back on. This in itself keeps things really simple, really easy, and keeps you committed to your desires. And the final one, as Mary J. Blige once said in a song, no more drama. Now this is like, I could have a whole series on drama. And what do I mean by that? How many times have you looked at a specific situation that you're in and found that there's a big drama around it, often caused by us or sometimes caused by others? But all of a sudden, the drama that goes on, we get sucked into it. And I think this is a prevalent time of year. You know, Christmas on its way. You know, in America, they've had Thanksgiving and the holidays there. And this is one where there's a drama that's playing out. And inadvertently, so many people that I work closely with, when we go deeper, we've realised there's certain elements in our life where we've been addicted to the drama, myself included. I speak for myself. So something plays out in our life, and before we know it, we're straight in there trying to help, normally from a great place, trying to help, trying to support. And before we know it, we're pulled in, drawn in to the drama. And this can happen whether it's professional, whether it's personal. I see it a lot in both camps, if I'm honest. So I see the family element, the friend element, you know, somebody's got something going on. And in fact, a friend reminded me recently when I was discussing a specific situation with them, they reminded me that, like, this is a little bit dramatic. And, you know, there comes a point where you just draw a line under it and say no more and stop. And they were 100% right. But this also can come up in our professional life where, you know, maybe we're doing a piece of work for somebody and they get into the fear of like not hitting a deadline, or some sort of drama plays out. They're concerned about not being seen as, you know, being perfect in how they're doing it or doing it well. And before we know it, their drama, their spin, if you think of it like a tornado, all of a sudden we're getting sucked into the drama and it doesn't feel good. So one of the things that I would strongly advise you to do this week is to check in with yourself and check in with your like internal sat nav, if you like, and know that when something feels good, you're likely to be on track. When it feels a bit off, it's not to say stop doing it, don't do it. It's often to say if it feels a bit off, it's trying to show you something. It might be showing you that you're not putting your focus in the place that you should. It might be showing you that you don't have clarity in the area that you thought you had clarity. It might be that you don't believe in the best and you're spending a lot of headspace believing in something else. And it's interesting, this is one that I thought I was pretty good at. And then when I listened to my own language as I was speaking to other people, I realised where my little rabbit holes were. And this is an important ongoing process. I don't think it ever stops personally, regardless of what you do for a living, whether you are a coach or whether you're into personal development. So begin to sort of give yourself the pill of noticing and look at where the dramas unfold in your life. You know, maybe the kids are arguing, maybe you know, the parents are arguing, maybe your relatives are arguing, but everything's okay. And just know that you always have the choice to stand back, observe what's going on, and without any judgment, because that's like pouring oil onto the fire. And without any judgment, have a look at what's actually playing out there and the part that you can play to contribute in a positive way or for a positive resolution, or sometimes to stand back and stand out. Ivona says, I resonate here, drama happened over the weekend, made a decision, the wrong decision. And that's the thing, you know, if you've made a decision, I would say look at the decision that you made, because for me, a decision, you go one way or another way. So let's have a look at that wrong decision and have a look at what, you know, what can be made. And it could be, you know, obviously that that you're thinking, oh, I made the wrong decision because the decision that I made blew it up even more, and that's fine. A really helpful question on that, for anyone, for you that's asked the question, or for anyone that has thought, oh my gosh, I've already gone and done this thing and I think I've made it worse, what do I do now? Is just take 3 minutes, you know, set a timer on your phone or on your computer, on your alarm, and sit down and just ask yourself, even if you're still in the middle of it, what would I do differently next time? Not what would I do better or anything else like that, but what would I do differently next time? And when you ask that question, you start to get more creative and you start to see the other areas, the other avenues. And you know what? This is a great question for after the event and reflecting back, but it's actually a really, really juicy thing to be able to do while you're in the middle of something. It means that you can correct, a bit like if you're riding a bicycle with wobbly handlebars and you're kind of going in the rickety wrong direction. You can just turn them and go forward in the direction that you were hoping that you would. So my question to you is, which one thing, because out of all of those things, maybe 2 or 3 resonated, and thank you for those of you who've shared this, maybe 2 or 3 of them resonated, but go for the one thing that you know is going to make the biggest difference. Is it the drama that you want to drop? Is it the belief in the best? One of those things will resonate in such a way that you know it will make the biggest difference to how you go moving forward. Which one of those are you going to take forward? I'd love to hear, even if you kind of check back in throughout the week on here, just type in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. And even if you're watching this on the replay, I'd love to hear which of those spoke to you most. Now, for those of you that want a bit more of a private conversation, over in the Visibility Vibes Tribe group, do click and join. 3 very quick questions, but do click and join. And post in there. Post which of these you're going to do moving forward. You can either post it and write it, you can do a Facebook Live or a video in there, and share with us so that we can support you on this track too. And if you've got another way in which you would be motivating others, and think about your zone of genius, think about what you do best. If you've got another way to motivate others, go over and share it in the Monday Motivation group so that we can all get a bit of a foot up, a leg up on this Monday, this morning, and this week, and even this month. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all next week on what will be episode 76 of Monday Motivation. And for those of you that like to keep up with me live, Wednesday is going to be our Q&A, so that's the next time I'll be live over in the Facebook group, the Visibility Vibes Tribe, where you get to ask me all of your questions, any of your questions about being seen, being heard and being visible. Lots of love to you. Thank you so much for joining me. You help me to love what I do even more when you show up. So thank you. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.